Hello, let's continue our Sudoku adventure with Seashells by Palfly Kampling. So this continues our loop theme week. In each puzzle we're drawing a loop, but definitely always pay attention to the rules because the rules for the loop will differ per puzzle, but ultimately we are drawing some kind of loop as part of our Sudoku solving. All right, so let's go over these rules together. We have normal 6x6 Sudoku rules, so in each row, each column, and each 2x3 box, we are placing the digits 1 to 6 exactly once each. We're also going to be drawing a loop, but the loop can touch itself diagonally, just not orthogonally. So a loop is something like this, right? Where it goes orthogonally through cells. Orthogonally means they share an edge. So it just goes through cells and it comes back to the start, right? That's a loop. It's allowed to touch itself diagonally. So we could, for example, do, I don't know, something along these lines. That would be a loop. And it is touching itself here diagonally, but that is allowed in this puzzle. Some of our puzzles do not allow that, but this particular one does. But we're not allowed to touch orthogonally. So what we can't do is like try to do this as a loop. Now, if I had used the line tool, I could actually make this a valid loop, but that's why I'm using the highlighting, because the highlighting basically, if you're making a clump with your highlighting, that means you've touched yourself and that's bad. And so, yeah, we're touching ourselves here, touching ourselves here. That's all bad. These are touching orthogonally. That's no good. All right. So what are the rest of the rules? How do we actually draw our loop? And how do we get digits in the grid? Well, we've got loop site. These are these blue squares. These indicate how many loop cells it sees in its row and column, including itself, with non-loop cells blocking the vision. So if I just, for this one, if I did something like this, and then the loop turned here and the loop turned here, this is obviously not correct, but that's an example. We'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'd fill a 5 there because it sees 5 total cells before the loop turns. Like this would be non-loop, this would be non-loop. Non-loops block the vision. So we're including itself, we're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'd fill a 5 there. All right. We also have island size. That's these green circles. And by the way, loop sites are always on the loop. I should mention that. Green circles are always not on the loop and indicate the amount of non-loop cells that are connected orthogonally in the island. So if you think about it, because this is non-loop, right? If our loop did something like this, let's say this was our loop, then these non-loop cells would form an island of orthogonally connected cells that get blocked by our loop. And this would be the count. So this would be 4, because this would be 4 cells in our little island there. All right. And finally, we have diamonds. These are ambiguous. Basically, if they end up on the loop, then they are blue squares. If they end up not on the loop, then they are islands. So we just have to determine that. It may go backwards, like, oh, the number is only available if it's not loop or something like that. So you can do the logic backwards. But basically, it's ambiguous which one they are, but you know, they have to fully fulfill either a loop site or an island size number. All right, cool. Well, those are the rules. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself, and I'm going to get started right now. Well, I'm going to start by making these all loop, and then these all non-loop. All right, this is a corner. How do you know it's a corner? I would basically call anything a corner if basically a loop has to go through 2 edges, exactly 2 edges from a cell for the cell to be on the loop. And so there's only 2 edges available, so we call that a corner. This also you can think of as a corner because it still only has 2 edges available. So it has to continue this way, and this one has to continue this way. That means this is a blue square. Now this is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have to fill a 6 there, and then these both have to be non-loop so to block the site. So now this is a corner, and this is a corner. Okay. Now this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's at its max because it can't be a 6. So this has to be non-loop. We can't turn left because that would touch itself. So we got to turn right. Okay. Here's an interesting bit of logic. Green circles are all in their own islands, right? If I try to connect these 2 islands together with a non-loop, then these would both be the same digit. However big this orthogonally connected region is, these would both be the same digit. I suppose that's okay in this case, because Sudoku would allow that. We just gotta be careful about that, I guess. Okay, so I almost maybe made a mistake there. I say, oh, they can't be the same. Well, they can be the same digit. Now, one thing that's interesting about that is if we do connect these, this is 5 in size. This sees a 5, so we would need to add one more cell and make them both 6, but this sees a 6. Okay, so these can't connect for that reason. Okay, because if these are connected, we're already a size 5. Can't be a 5 here, but we also can't be size 6, so that can't be a 6, so there's no option. So this has to be on the loop. This ends up being a 2, and then the loop has to turn. That makes this non-loop. It has to continue now. And it's not going to go in here. It would hit a dead end. So all of these are non-loop. Now this is a 6 size clump. So that's a 6. And this has to be loop and turn the corner so that we block off. We don't want more than 6 in our clump, in our island. That makes this non-loop. It has to continue. Okay, I think we might have to think about digits now because we can fill. We get some gimmies. Right? We can fill these. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that works. This is just 3. That works. This is 4. That also works. This isn't 4 or 5. So it's minimum 3. Can't be 4 or 5. So it's 3 or 6. Interesting. Do I need to do Sudoku at this point? Yeah, these 5s look into here. Placing this 5. Okay, what's next? And maybe there's more Sudoku. Yeah, these two 5s look down, placing this 5. This is 1 and 4. This 4 tells us that's 1, that's 4. Okay, maybe there's a lot of Sudoku to do. These are 1, 3 pair. These are a 2, 6 pair. So that's 2 and that's 6. 1, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3. Do we know this cell? I mean, it sees 2 already. It can't be a 2, but I mean, it's going to see at least one more. Okay, what about up here? 1, 2, 3. Well, this isn't a 1. It already has 2 in its size. Okay, so it's going to either stop here, making this a loop, or it's going to be a 3, making this non-loop, and then this has to be loop. I think that means this is always loop. Interesting. Yeah, I think this has to always be loop because our options are to take this corner, which obviously makes that a loop. But if we don't take the corner, then this is non-loop. We can't come back around, and a lot of reasons. But that would make this a 3, so this would have to be a loop to keep it from being bigger than 3. So we don't know which way it goes, but it does take this cell. It'll go like that or like that, and I think that means it has to continue down here. There's only one way to continue from there. If we go this way, this would be non-loop. It would continue here. If we go this way, it can't go up, so it's going to go down. Yeah. So yeah, these two are loop. What's that mean for me? Let's do some more Sudoku. This is 1, 2, 4. This is 3, 5, 6. Is there more Sudoku to do? This is at least 4. So it's 4 or 5 because it sees these 3 plus whichever way it goes. Can it actually be 5? Yeah, it would be 5 if it 2, 3, 4, 5, if it did this. That would be a 5. If it does this, it would be a 4. I know one of these two is a 5. I don't know if that helps. What about this one? Is it always a 3 or? I think it's always a 3, which would make that a 2. Yeah. Okay. How could it be bigger than? Yeah. So remember, we're taking this corner or this corner. Was there a reason we couldn't just go straight down? Hold on. Did I color this inappropriately? Let me look at that case again. So obviously here, it's going to have to go down to here. But if we go down here, because we know this one's always taken. Why did I say this one was always taken? Because of this clump. That's the reason. Right. Okay. Sorry. I going back. Yeah, we can't do this because now this clump is at least this big. And that's too big. That's 4. And we can't be 4, 5, or 6 there. Okay. So we are taking these two. Which means that we're only ever seeing one more here. So this has to be a 3. We're either doing this, where it's going to be a 3, or we're doing this, where it's going to be a 3. So that's our 3. That makes that a 2 and a 1, and a 3 and a 1. That makes this have to be loop because of the 2. So now that's not 1, that's not 3, that's not 2. These aren't 3, that's not 1. Okay. Feel like we're getting there. This is a 4-6 pair. Okay, I need to be careful here. 3 or 6. I think it could be either still. Well, turning left would be a problem here. Because if I turned left, then I have only one way to go, which is down. And now this clump is 4 in size, and that's not an option. So I think I have to go down. Oh yeah, and this is gray. This is gray. This is going to have to be, this is a 6 then. So that's a 6, that's 5, that's 3. So that's 4. That makes sense. I think the loop does this. That's our 5. We get the 2, 4 and 6, 1 and 4. That's 3 and 4. Deet deet doot in the corner. Nice. Oh, this is also a 6 because it's part of the clump. Same clump. Okay. So this is a 1. That's 2 and 1. This is a 3 and this is a 2, and we're done. Neat puzzle, Palfly. Yeah, so I think I probably missed some. Took me a little bit of time to get some of the logic that may have been somewhat easier than I made it, but neat. And yeah, our loop does touch ourselves diagonally there. I think it's kind of almost forced to with the small islands that we had to make. It's interesting. It kind of reminds me of Snake Egg. You ever done a Snake Egg puzzle? All right. That's neat. Not much else to say. I enjoyed that. Let me know how you did. If you enjoyed it, why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.